Happy Easter, everyone! Tonight is the last night of our Easter bedtime stories. So far, the real Easter stories have been very sad, haven't they? But you know what? Little Duck has told me that today's story is called God's Wonderful Surprise. So it sounds like there's some good news coming.
This week, we have heard about God's big plan right from the beginning, when He made the world. We learned how disobeying God brought sin into the world, which caused big problems for us. But then we learned about God sending His Son, Jesus, to be our rescuer. Unfortunately, last night's story wasn't very happy. Jesus was arrested and killed. How did that fit into God's big plan? How could Jesus rescue us if He was dead? Well, let's read tonight's story to find out. Our last story is called God's Wonderful Surprise, and it comes from Matthew chapter 28, Mark chapter 16, Luke chapter 24, and John chapter 20. Jesus' friends were sad. They would never see their best friend again. How could this happen? Wasn't Jesus the rescuer, the king God had promised? It wasn't supposed to end like this. Yes, but whoever said anything about the end? Just before sunrise on the third day, God sent an earthquake and an angel from heaven. When the guards saw the angel, they fell down with fright. The angel rolled the huge stone away, sat on top of it, and waited. At the first glimmer of dawn, Mary Magdalene and other women headed to the tomb to wash Jesus' body. The early morning sun slanted through the ancient olive trees, drops of dew glittering on leaves and grasses, little tears everywhere. The friends walked quietly along the hilly path through the olive groves until they reached the tomb, and immediately noticed something odd. It was wide open. They peered through the opening into the dark tomb, but wait, Jesus' body was gone. And there was something else. A shining man was there, with clothes made from lightning. Don't be scared, the angel said. But they couldn't help it. They screamed anyway. The angel asked them, "What are you doing here? This is a tomb, and tombs are for dead people." The women couldn't speak. "Jesus isn't dead anymore," he said. "He is alive again." And their hearts leapt. And then the angel laughed with such gladness that they felt for a moment as if they had woken from a nightmare. The other women rushed home, but Mary stayed behind. How could it be true? Jesus was definitely dead. How could he be alive? Just then, Mary heard something else in the garden. Perhaps it's the gardener, she thought. He'll know where Jesus' body is. "I don't know where Jesus is," Mary said urgently. "I can't find him." But it was all right. Jesus knew where she was, and he had found her. Mary! Only one person said her name like that. She could hear her heart thumping. She turned around. She could only just make out a figure. She shaded her eyes to see, and thought she was dreaming. But she wasn't dreaming. She was seeing. Jesus! Mary fell to the ground. Sudden tears filled her eyes, and great sobs shook her whole body. And all she wanted in that moment was to cling to Jesus and never let him go. "You'll be able to hold on to me later, Mary," Jesus said gently, "and always be close to me. But now, go and tell the others that I'm alive." Mary ran and ran all the way to the city. She had never run so fast or so far in all her life. She felt she could have run forever. She didn't even feel like her feet touched the ground. The sun seemed to be dancing and gleaming and bouncing across the sky, racing with her and shining brighter than she could ever remember in the clear, fresh air. and it seemed to her that morning, as she ran, almost as if the whole world had been made anew, almost as if the whole world was singing for joy. The trees, tiny sounds in the grass, the birds, her heart. Was God really making everything sad come untrue? Was he making even death come untrue? She couldn't wait to tell Jesus' friends. They won't believe it, she laughed. She was right, of course. Wow, that was a really wonderful surprise, wasn't it, Debbie? Jesus' death was not the end of our story. He rose again. A little while after this, Jesus went back to heaven. But what does this mean for us? Jesus took the punishment for our sin. He faced death and he won. Even better than that, he's still alive today in heaven, ready to forgive, love, and rescue any one of us. But how can he rescue us when we're so far away from heaven? Well, the Bible tells us that if we realize we have sinned and need to be rescued and choose to believe in Jesus, that he died and rose again, then we can pray to Jesus in heaven, say sorry, and ask him to forgive us. Then you will become part of a great family, his family, and it will be the start of a really exciting adventure as you begin to love and follow Jesus. Debbie and I hope that you've enjoyed hearing all about this true story, this true meaning of Easter. And we really hope that it won't be too long before we get to see you all again.
In the darkness we were waiting, without hope, without light, till from heaven you came running. There was mercy in your eyes, to fulfill the law and prophets. To a virgin came the word, from a throne of endless glory to a cradle in the dirt. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. To reveal the kingdom coming and to reconcile the lost, to redeem the whole creation. You did not despise the cross, for even in your suffering you saw to the other side, knowing this was our salvation. Jesus, for our sake you died. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. In the morning that you rose, all of heaven held its breath, till that stone was moved for good, for the Lamb had conquered death. And the dead rose from their tombs, and the angels stood in awe, for the souls of all who'd come to the Father are restored. And the church of Christ was born, then the Spirit lit the flame. Now this gospel truth of old shall not kneel, shall not faint. By his blood and in his name, in his freedom I am free. For the love of Jesus Christ King of Kings. Praise forever to the King of Kings.